question, which is, what is it about sugar that makes it such an attractive thing for us? Why do we like it so much? And the obvious answer that most people arrive at is, well, it just tastes really, really good. But that's actually not the way it works. The rewarding properties, as we say, of sugar, whether or not they come in the form of sucrose or fructose or foods that increase glucose to a very high level, actually is not just related to the taste of the foods that produce that elevation in glucose, sucrose, or fructose. It is in part, but that's only part of the story. And the rest of the story, once you understand it, can actually place you in a position to much better control your sugar intake of all kinds, but also your food intake in ways that can allow you to make much better choices about the foods you ingest. So now I want to take us on a journey into the nervous system to explain the pathways in the brain and body that regulate our appetite for sugar. Now, keep in mind what I already told you before, which is that when we ingest foods, they're broken down into various components, and glucose is going to be shuttled to the brain and, of course, to other neurons in our spinal cord and elsewhere, and to our muscles, et cetera, in order for all of those cells and organs and tissues to be able to function. The fact that so many cells and organs and tissues require glucose in order to function has led to a situation where you have dedicated neural machinery, pieces of your brain that are almost entirely, if not entirely devoted to seeking out of sugar or foods that contain sugars, and to make sure that you not only seek those out, but you know where those foods are and that you ingest more and more and more of them. And there are two main ways that these neural circuits work. In fact, we can say that there are two neural circuits entirely that work in parallel. In the case of sugar consumption, the two parallel pathways involve one pathway related to the actual taste and the perception of sweet tastes that lead not just you, but every animal that we're aware of to seek more sweet containing foods. The other parallel pathway is related to the nutritive component of sweet foods, meaning the degree to which a given food will raise blood glucose. I want to repeat that. One pathway in your brain and body is devoted to getting you to seek out sweet tasting things that you perceive as sweet, and another parallel pathway is devoted to getting you to seek out foods that lead to increases in blood glucose. It just so happens that the foods that lead to big increases in blood glucose typically are associated with that sweet taste. Now, this is distinctly different than the neural pathways that control seeking of savory foods or salty foods or spicy foods for that matter, or bitter foods. The sweet pathway is what we would call hardwired. It exists, as far as we know, in every mammal. Basically, getting sweet stuff into the body might seem like it has a lot to do with the taste, but it has just as much to do with the nutritive components that sweet-tasting foods carry and the fact that your nervous system and so many cells in your brain and body run on glucose. If you recall earlier, I said even if you ingest fructose can be converted into glucose in the liver. The fundamental thing to understand here is that when you think you want a piece of chocolate, or you think you want a piece of cake, or you're craving something sweet, you are both craving the taste and your neurons are literally craving the nutritive components that arrive with that taste.